Airial, if I could marry her brain, it would be amazing.
If you need anything technical.
She is down to earth. She's fun. She's very easy to network with.
Anything systems oriented.
Just anything web dev techie that I don't understand, Airial has swooped in and fixed. And she's my accountability bulldog.
She is a queen.
Anything infrastructure related.
She is helpful, and she helps guide and answer all your questions that you have about growing your business and networking and getting started.
She gives me life. She just gives me life.
Airial Re'nal is your girl. Welcome to the TrepTECH podcast with your host, Airial Re'nal.
I just want to marry her brain. She's a genius.
Welcome back to the TrepTECH podcast. I am the trusty sidekick, Scott Doucet, and I am here with the heroic, the beloved, the Batman to my Robin, Airial Re'nal. How you doing?
Hi, ham to my burger.
I should have said that. I should have said ham to my burger, but I couldn't steal that from you. How you doing?
If you don't know what we're referring to, just keep listening to the episode. You'll hear that reference.
Yeah. Go back and listen to the one we just did on race in business, because I think that's, one, a juicy topic, but two, you will hear why I am the ham to Ariel's burger. It's not dirty, I promise. It's nothing dirty. So what have we got on the docket today?
So like you said, we were talking about race, and I'm just going to go and set it up like this, because I know you are nervous about that episode. And we've had a lot of out talk about it. So for those who are in the secret circle, you get to hear some of those out talks about us talking about the episode, whether to release it, if we need to chop some things out, if it's offensive, that kind of stuff. But I told Scott, I said, you know what? I don't think you were offensive. And you had two Black people from different perspectives. And I don't think either one of us thought you were offensive. You were just ignorant to some of the things, and you had the stereotypes. And it took courage to actually say that out loud.
Well,
but I've never been offended by anything you say, because you're really just asking hey, is this real? Does this really go on? And
admittedly, I'm admittedly ignorant. I will flat out say that I am ignorant. I will never pretend to know more than I know about a topic, because that's just how you get into trouble. And the other thing is that I'm extremely culturally accepting. I love talking about culture, because mine is, in my opinion, white culture is as bland as a popsicle stick. If you were to lick a popsicle stick, that's what white culture tastes like to me. Okay. It doesn't have a lot of flavor. So I like talking to others.
Is it a red one?
I like talking to other people about what they do, what they eat, what they listen to, because it's neat. It's fascinating to me. But I understand that not everyone's like that. And I understand that there's a lot of people who have perspectives, and they're wrapped up in certain identities even. And it can complicate conversations. I'm sometimes very aware of the fact that I am white. I am a guy. And even though that I've experienced classism, and I've experienced, minor racism, very, very minor, because like I told you in the out talks, I grew up 2 white for Native kids and 2 Native for white kids. So I got a tiny little bit of bullying and stuff like that, but it wasn't to the degree other people experience. And so it is coming from a place of ignorance. It is coming from a place of acceptance, but I'm sometimes just painfully aware of the fact that my opinions need to be very limited, because I haven't experienced anything to the depth that I would need to have a proper opinion.
And that's why we had the conversation, so you can ask those questions, so we could have a discussion, because I have some of those stereotypes too.
And let's face it, some of the things that we thought were, or that were brought up that were racism, happened to me from white people. So it was really just, it's not racism, it's something else completely.
And you brought up a good point about classism.
Oh,
all of that talk about classism, how we see the stereotype of race fit into classism, and just classism all about. We need to do a whole episode on classism.
Absolutely, I think so. But one of the things that I wanted to, I'm dying to talk about, if you're cool to give this one to me to choose, I want to talk about identity.
Of course. I think that goes perfectly with what we were talking about last week.
Because some of the things that were brought up was like, I had to change my name. I have to live up to the perspective of who I'm supposed to be. Or I have to, like, I almost have to change who I am to appeal to a certain kind of person. And, you know, like, I agree that that has to happen, right? Like, we reference DJ Envy becoming Sean when he called white neighborhoods instead of Rashawn. You know, Keenan talked about how he, you know, Black people, when they dress really formally for interviews and for talks and just for, you know, like hiring back and forth, like it's almost as if he wants to live up to the perspective that I would have of him. And you yourself, you know, you mentioned that if you spoke too eloquently, you would be talking white.
Yeah.
And then you said you had to learn Ebonics to appeal to your friends, your peers. And so literally you had to change your identity in order to appeal to a certain type of person. And to me, I find that fascinating because it happens in business all the time.
Yes, it does. Oh my goodness, yes, it does.
And like, I can think of my own examples, but I'd love to hear yours. Like, when you first got into business, who did you think you had to be?
Wow, moment of honesty. For my graphics company, I hid behind a brand, and I deliberately hid behind a brand. I started that back in roughly 2002, 2003, because back then I thought, I'm Black, nobody's going to hire me to do graphic design, web design, that kind of thing. Or they're going to stereotype me and think I don't know what I'm talking about. Even though I had a degree in it, I had experience through the military with it, and I was hella good at it, still am. And then my next brand was my candle shop, my candle business. I didn't have my face to it. People knew it was mine, but I didn't blatantly put it out. I hid behind like the pictures of the candles, the logo and the branding and all of that. And then when I came up with the Veteran Woman, I struggled with whether or not to show my face. And like I said in the last episode for the podcast, Art for the Veteran Woman, which I use so much because I love it, it has my face. It's me on it. And I decided to change the dynamic because, I mean, just like we go through life and we go through identity crisis, I went through that with my business. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I'm sitting here thinking about it because like now one of my brand extensions is the Rebel Revolution. And it's about just, you know, fuck it, just be you, you know, whatever it is, just be you. And at the same time, I'm thinking about the TrepTECH brand and why did I create it? And it was to give a more generic feel. Because with the Veteran Woman, a lot of people would come to me and say, do I have to be a woman? Do I have to be a veteran? So with TrepTECH, I'm like, it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter if you're a veteran. It doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. So it's just interesting.
Yeah, because you're here for business. The bottom line, strip away everything else, you're here for business. And that gave us a very level playing field. But did you do all that, like the hiding of the brand? Like, because like I don't want to say I hid behind a brand. I've always been the face of my brand, but I definitely did feel pressure to change who I am a lot. And that was ingrained in me for both good and bad. But did you do all that because you're Black or because you're a woman or because, like, I don't know, like what was your main motivator for wanting to keep your face off of things?
My face initially, because I'm Black, because I'm a Black woman. Then when it goes into like how I present myself, especially in an online space, I went through the struggle of one of my first coaches, love her to death. She is beautiful. She is so poised and everything. And so she was like, you know, when you approach certain people, you need to watch what you wear, or how, you know, yeah, pretty much what you wear. And I know she was talking about how you present yourself, but part of me was like what I wear. And for anybody who knows my story, I'm a disabled vet. My feet hurt. I don't do the heels anymore. And I just want to be comfortable. And I've never been flashy. And I mean, growing up, it was t-shirts, sweats, and flip-flops. And I hate clothes. So if I put them on, we're doing good. And so I had that struggle with what is my identity and how does that affect my brand? And to tell you the truth, the times that I've put on makeup, gotten all dressed up to do a video that's well scripted, it didn't feel right, nor did I get that many, visitors or viewers or whatnot. The times that I have literally rolled over out of my sleep and just hit live with my hair, when I had hair, with my hair all over my head, crust in my eyes, those were the highest viewed videos. And it was just natural, no script. It was just whatever was on my mind when I woke up. And I love that feeling. So now I still struggle with it, because that's one of the reasons why I don't do live video much. Is because, oh my goodness, I need to dress up. I need to do my hair. I need to do this. I need to do that. And it's just overthinking it. And then I have to remind myself, just be me, because that's what people love about me, is that I'm just me.
Well, yeah, I find like Tor right now, she watches a lot of YouTubers and she goes onto a lot of Instagram accounts. And like our life, it's no secret, it's in shambles right now. We bought a house that's falling apart. It's an absolute, like, it's going to take a lot of money to bring it where it needs to go. Just had a baby. We've been married like a year and a half. Friends for a decade, together for 2 years, married for a year of it, pretty much, like, right? This, to say, is one bright candle, and there's a lot of plates spinning. There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of, love, and there's a lot of challenge and obstacles and pressure in our relationship and with the way our lives are going, right? And I don't post about it much. I don't talk about it very much. It's no secret because, when I do interviews or we talk like this, like I make sure it's out there. All of my friends know things are going on, and that I'm under a lot of pressure and doing a lot of crazy things. But one thing I don't go out and do is try to play it cool, and I tried to do that at one point. I was in a situation where like we had to emergency move out of my mother's house, and I had to stay with my friend for 2 weeks. My whole family had to live in his basement, and I didn't post about it. I didn't say a word about it. I didn't update the world because like I know a lot of the world is out there to watch you burn. So I don't want to give them any satisfaction or any ammunition. So I don't post about my bad stuff. But a client got in touch with me and said, hey, this needed to be done. We're coming up on deadline. Why isn't it done yet? And what did I do? Tried to play it cool. Hey, man, I'll get that done for you right away. And so I did it. But the client was like, no, this was taking too long. And like, I've never missed a deadline. That's one thing I can proudly say is we've never missed a deadline, but we've come damn close. And this was one of the times we went damn close. And he reached out to me and he's like, what's going on? And I was so afraid to break it to him because like it's been drilled in my head that people do not like instability. If someone's going to do business with you, you cannot be unstable. You have to have your shit together, right? And when I told him what was going on in my life, he went, oh my God, why didn't you just say so, man? I would have given you all the time in the world. Like, why are you so quiet about it? Like, I'm paying you to do a service. I need communication. And if your life is in shambles, like, I need to know if you need an extra couple of days. That's not going to kill me. I'm fine. Right. And I was like, oh, okay. That's how this works. But I felt every need to protect my clients from what was going on in my life and protect, myself from the potential backlash of what was going on in my life if people knew publicly, when really it was kind of something that some people would have been better off knowing. And I think you get so wrapped up in this identity of trying to look perfect on social media or trying to, have the image that wins you clients that you kind of lose who you are in the process.
It's interesting because if you look on my Facebook profile, facebook.com/AIRIALW. Feel free to follow me or send me a friend request if I have any room for more friends, but definitely follow me. You see everything about my life. And I've gotten pushback for it. But when I decided to, because like when I have my down days with the PTSD, the depression, the anxiety, all that crap, I openly talk about it, like my feelings and everything. One, me writing it out and sharing my story is cathartic to me. But two, it's always that one person messages me and say, man, I think you just saved my life. Man, you're going through all this. You understand. Hey, I want to reach out to you because I feel you're the only one who understands and not going to judge me. Because there's so many other people in business. Most of my clients were like, trying to hold this business. and have the space for the business when our lives are in shambles. So with the Veteran Woman brand, I created it and I hid behind the computer because of depression and social anxiety and stuff, and I would not go out. And then I had people ask me, how did I build this online brand? And I didn't realize that I was onto something because I was just hiding. And then I realized I built a strong online brand and people want to know how to do that. But the flip side of that, when I talk to my clients, when shit hits the fan in their lives, I'm like, you know what? Let me tell you the behind the scenes, how it looks for me. I may have posted this the other day, but let me tell you how much I struggled with posting that. And, just different things like that. Or, I was freaking out because this, that, and the third was going on in my life. But I said, you know what? I have to show up for my clients. And me showing up for my clients, my coach, she shows up with no makeup, with a hoodie. And she's like, hey, I'm here. I'm showing up. And I absolutely love it because she just shows up real. It's like talking to a regular person. And we were on a Facebook Live and one of the other group members said, yeah, I told you I'd show up and I'm here. But I didn't say I was going to show up dressed up, but I did show up. And so now I am going to take that mantra and like, I'm showing up. I may not be dressed up, but I'm showing up. And it's just dealing with that identity of who are you and why are you doing or in the business that you're in, and who do you really want to attract?
And the point I was making before, to your point, like to even further validate your point, is like Tor, the reason why I brought her up is she Instagrams. And for fun, she started posting just like literally our house in shambles. Scotland not taking naps when she's supposed to be taking naps, and the two of them broken down beside each other with sad faces, all tired looking. If we're doing a home reno that she wanted to do herself and couldn't do it, she's got a picture of me like under the sink flooding the bathroom.
The stuff that really happens in real life.
Yeah, and she started posting all this stuff, and she gets on and she talks about how she's having trouble breastfeeding, but she's figuring it out, and how, Scotland's going through this, or we're going through that, or sleep regression this, or, like developmental thing that, and she's just keeping people up to date, and she's talking about us a little bit here and there. And she's very respectful of me, and like I'm private, so I like to keep like my business and my personal kind of separate. She's very mindful of that, and I appreciate it. But when she posts stuff about all of our life, the engagement is through the roof. People love it. They talk to her about it. They ask her questions. They offer her support. They send me home improvement tips. They tell her how great the kitchen looks. They go pretty nuts about it, and it's funny to me because that's the stuff I wouldn't want to show.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that people really eat up. They like it.
And I tell people everything that I post on my Facebook is strategic. So even if I post a picture about what I'm eating, it's strategic. It's a reason behind it. It's another meaning, because my whole Facebook profile is to get an inside, behind the scenes look of my life as a veteran, as a woman, as a single woman, trying to get somebody, but just my life, like, and having a business and how that looks and how anybody can do it.
Yeah. And I love that too. And that's a gutsy approach. And sometimes I'm like, really? You're sharing that? Like, you're just going to outwit that publicly like that? What's going through your head? But then you'll be like, oh, well, if it's out there and I'm the one that put it out there,
there's no shame. Nobody can use that against me.
Nothing's attached to it, I was just like, oh, okay, well, that is the definition of being unapologetically you then. And at the same time, like, I'm the kind of person, I like to balance things out, and that, like, I kind of see things in layers, if it makes sense. The first layer is like things that are universally human. Every human experiences it. Every human experiences taxes. Every human, or a huge majority of humans, know what they take in their coffee. They know their zodiac sign. They all know that feeling when you need to poop halfway through a meeting. Like, they know these things because it's all universally human. And then there's the next layer. What is universal to your gender? Or in this case, if you're not assigning gender, then you're not going to fit the universal there. You're going to have a different experience. But so what is universal to your gender? Then we go up another level. What is universal to your race / nationality? What is universal to your religion? And the more you go up these universal, experiences, the smaller and smaller the window gets, and the more we kind of get segregated from each other, right? And then you go even further, like the amount of people who own businesses, period, is small. But then the amount of Black women business owners is even smaller. So there's just that thing where, like, I find personally that the more niche down to the person I get, the less I relate to people. And then I only relate to a very specific kind of people. And I think people panic about that. They're scared not to be able to relate to everyone.
It is scary. It is very scary.
But I'll tell you what, the people that I relate to are the ones who they're booking me for my business and we're getting along as friends. I'm hiring them to be, my editor or my writer, or, I'm calling them and
Your
letting
tech
them.
angel.
Yeah, my tech angel. I'm, inviting them to joint ventures. They're inviting me to take part in things like this podcast. And that's just because the real me appeals to you, appeals to my team, appeals to my clientele. They know me for who I am and not the universal human Scott who takes, 3 cream in his coffee. Like, they don't care about that Scott, they don't care that he's a Taurus. Although some people like me just because I'm a Taurus. Ariel, how dumb is that?
Well, I'm a Taurus too.
Well, that's why I like you.
Oh, that's okay.
To completely contradict what I just said, but some people literally, they just like me because I'm Taurus. And I bet you an Aries somewhere is like, oh, he's a Taurus, get him out of here. Just based on that, so and I had no say over that. Literally, stars and my birthday say something about that, and someone's going to judge me about that. So
somebody's always going to judge you.
Yeah. And I think with this whole identity thing, I'm going to use rich white people as my target here. So everyone enjoy this. Even you rich white people, enjoy the shit out of this. I'm coming for you. I'm going to be a rich white guy someday. But the thing that I find is that a lot of people think they have to change who they are to appeal to rich white folk. And it's kind of true. It is kind of true. And it depends though. So for me, when I first got into business, right, I wanted to appeal to people with boatloads of cash who were going to pay me for my services. And I had a coach, bless him, very clean shaven, minded his manners, didn't talk any cuss words or anything like that. He was I'll call him vanilla. He was very vanilla. He wore a suit and tie, or at least a nice polo shirt, and he had nice hair, and he could walk into a meeting with any 45 plus white person and get their money, guaranteed. The 30s, he could do that too. The 20s, a little less, and so and if he walked into a room with someone like me, I don't know if he could get my money. I don't know. He knew a lot and I respected him, but the next Scott Doucet guy walking around who's my demographic and my age might have thought he was a complete bag of dicks. It's so difficult when you get down to that. But my point is that he told me that I was going to have to change who I was, clean up my language, put on a suit and tie, do this, do that, wear this, wear that, present myself a certain way if I wanted to appeal to that demographic. And so I did. And it was a nightmare. I hated it. I was always stressed out. I hated every sales call I got on. I felt like I was...
You give off that energy. You give off that negative energy.
I felt like a circus animal jumping through hoops. I hated my business. I didn't want to do it anymore. And then there was a part 2 to that conversation where he said, or you can be yourself and attract the people you're meant to. But that's the part I ignored because it was risky and scary and didn't feel like it would work. I didn't trust it. I was like, no one's going to like the real me. I'm vulgar. I'm crude. I'm sweet. I'm nice, but I'm, I'm direct and I'm weird. And I like to sit by myself and be antisocial and produce podcasts at an alarming rate, and I just thought people would kind of reject the real me, And so I started cleaning up my act, but I hated it. And the second I became myself, I'm tattooed on my hands. I look like I would rob you behind a gas station. When I let my hair and beard go, I'm frightening. I look like a heavy metal guitar player, not a businessman. And so like that really struck me and I got fixated on that. I was like, but my tattoos, people aren't going to like my tattoos. So I decided to hide behind a brand like yourself. But what I did was I made my brand pirate themed, and pirates have tattoos. And pirates are vulgar, and pirates are everything that, like, they're charming, they're witty, they're funny, but they're also vicious and they're scoundrels. And
You
they're
were
like,
going through an identity crisis.
yeah, I was. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this brand everything I am. So I took the Jolly Roger flag with the crossed swords and I slapped a microphone in the skull and I went black, red, gold, aggressive colors, money colors. This is me. I'm a podcast producer. I'm vulgar. I'm crude. I'm tattooed. I love money. I love helping people. And I'm obsessed with the concept of freedom. Deal with it.
And that's what drew me to you. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, thank goodness, someone who's vulgar. Because I don't know, that's so liberating. That is so liberating me. I love coaches who coach. And it's not a whole thing about being ignorant or having a limited vocabulary, but just, being able to say, fuck the status quo, just like that. And it's, woo, instead of, oh my gosh. Now, I do know how to be respectful. And so some people just don't like cursing, and that's okay. And I respect that. But I love being around people who I can be myself around. Like you were saying, when I started coaching, I was going by scripts. I was all prim and proper, and it burned me out.
Miserable.
Yes. And now I'll get on anxiety through the roof, getting ready to get on a sales call. Oh my goodness. Now I'm like, okay, I'm going to be me. We're just going to have a conversation. And it feels so
right. And I could easily say that it's not about education or, language, because my vernacular is expansive and impressive. Or I could just say, I know a lot of words, and means the same damn thing. Okay. I'd rather get to know people who are less about the image and more about the quality of being that they are, if that makes sense. And
oh, yes.
yeah. And so I end up getting along with a lot of different kinds of people from a lot of classes, a lot of religions, a lot of racial backgrounds, a lot of everything. And it's just because they're all about their mind. They're all about their body. They're all about work ethic. They're all about being driven and wanting more out of their life. And we connect on a value base more than a superficial personality type of basis. It's more, do your values line up to mine? If so, you could be a Martian, but I'm probably going to hire you because...
Right. But having those soulmate clients, I used to say ideal clients. My coach says soulmate clients, and I know how that feels. I've talked to all of my clients all this week, and I haven't gotten burned out yet. I've been energized by them. And that lets me know, this is how it feels to have soulmate clients and to be me. And everybody's okay. The world didn't end, and we're still getting shit done.
Right. And so I think a lot of people get caught up on this whole identity thing, and it robs them of the enjoyment of experiencing who you're supposed to be in business. But I almost want to say it's part of the process, isn't it?
I was going to say that too. And that's usually what I work on with people. There's one of my clients that we're working on a 12-month mentorship, and we're talking about identity. It's a lot about mindset, and it's okay. How were you raised? What were the negative things that you were told in your life? And how can we rewrite the script? And it comes up so much. That's another reason why I did the 21-day mind detox. Get rid of all the backed up shit that's in your head. Because I did a similar program, and I was able to dig deep down and find out what it is I truly want. And like money, for instance, to be okay for me to want the money and to go after it. And why I wanted the money. Like, what would it give me? What quality of life? How is it going to help me help others? That kind of thing. And then how I view myself, the vision I have of me. So being abundant, being wealthy, but still being laid back. And I think gender plays a part too, because I look at like Mark Zuckerberg and some other prominent people, they'll come out on stage to speak and it's in t-shirt and jeans and tennis shoes or something to that matter. So why, being a female, do I have to wear heels, and a dress and makeup and all this stuff. No. That's not fair. I'm going to come out in jeans, a t-shirt, and some tennis shoes.
If Podcast Bay ever does an event and if you come to speak, I'm expecting that uniform. Like, I want you to wear what Steve Jobs wears. Just nothing but a t-shirt, a pair of slacks, and some shoes. Like,
yeah.
That's it. That's all I'm going to be wearing.
Slacks, I wear my black yoga pants. And you know how many times people are like, those are some nice pants. I'm like, these are Walmart yoga pants. I make it work. You just never know.
And you're lucky I rolled the cat hair off of them before we came.
But I mean, I know how to dress up those doggone yoga pants, but I'm comfortable too.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know what? I was on stage speaking at a conference and I struggled with what I was going to wear. And I put on a t-shirt that was veteran oriented. It said Formation 22 and we understand what others don't. It's just a regular t-shirt and my black yoga pants. And I couldn't find my black shoes. I left my black shoes at home, so there's some white shoes, which was, I guess, just like, oh my God, no. But I got up there and I was like, you know what? This is what I'm wearing because this is me. I can't do anything else but me. And I had so many people come up to me and say, man, you are so approachable. It's something about your energy. And being approachable is huge to me.
Well, yeah, it's massive. You need to be approachable if you want to be approached by clients, by people in general. And like, I'm not very approachable. No, I will say that. Like, I'm not the kind of person people smile at me in public and like sometimes they'll stop and have conversations and things like that. But I'm not the most approachable person. When I'm out in public, I'm usually stern-faced. I look worried and stressed out because I'm in public. I'm really tense. I'm focused. I'm walking fast. I'm like dodging around people who are walking too slow and muttering under my breath. Like I'm a real jerk in public, actually. Now, you know what?
If I had met you in public without knowing you, I probably would have never had a conversation with you.
Right. And that's just because public puts my energy in a certain way. And I don't care how I'm perceived out there. You know, if I walk into a Walmart and you stop right in front of me, I am going to say something offhanded as I walk by. Because I'm that guy when I'm, in public because it stresses me out. I'm introverted. I like my little bubble. But when I'm at home, I am laid back. I am enjoying life. I am talking. Like, I'm happy. I call my wife Lover. I call her all kinds of beautiful things. Like, I'm a happy guy. I'm a happy guy. I take pictures of Scotland. We hang out a lot. And that's my identity. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say like I've got the family man identity, but like I am a family man in training. I have an entrepreneurial identity big time. And, I'm a guy. I can't even say like I'm a man's man because that doesn't tie into my identity at all. But so many people get caught up in, like, am I man enough? Am I woman enough? Am I business enough? Am I professional enough? Am I, am I a family person? Like, if I went out and took a picture of myself beside a Ferrari, with tour all done up to the nines and someone else's big house behind me, and then started doing like Facebook lives from my
You'd be unapproachable.
That for starters. But then I started doing Facebook lives from my ripped up living room that's, like tiny, well, not tiny, but, tiny enough and like old looking and rickety. Like, people are smart. People will find holes in your fake identity.
Yes.
I literally saw a guy, his profile picture was him beside a silver Ferrari. He had a suit on and he was amazing. And then one of his posts in his profile as I was researching him said, "Can someone help me find my 01 Honda Civic? It's rusty. It's got this. It's got that. It was stolen out of my driveway last night." And I commented, "You should jump in your Ferrari and go find it." Because I'm that guy. The guy just got his car stolen and I poked him and I was making fun of him. But it's because he had this massive gaping hole in his identity. Some guy, unless it's completely sentimental, some guy is not going to worry about an 01 Honda Civic if he owns a Ferrari Enzo or, whatever.
But if you own a Ferrari, you should have the kind of security. Wait a minute. Why would they steal the Honda Civic and not the Ferrari?
Because the Ferrari doesn't exist.
But you have the kind of security and stuff that would make it unstealable. I mean, I'm just saying.
But that's my point, right? It's like I looked through it and I was like, okay, man, you've got this beautiful social media image portrayed that you are some rich, over accomplished. You don't care about anything, but you literally just called for help for your '01 Honda Civic rust bucket car that
And I
got
think
stolen out of your driveway.
that's one of the pressures in business, is trying to put on this facade, this certain identity, this certain perspective. And that's why I tell people, like, no, be you, because doing all that other stuff is a waste of energy. You're focusing on the wrong things. And, really when it comes down to it, think, what I'm about to do, is it in line with my values? And is it in line with my brand? So like when we did the Color of Business episode, I know you struggled with it because you were worried about it. So I went through my little mental checklist. Is it aligned with my brand? What is my brand about? My whole brand is about transparency, open, candid conversations, and being real, and just not hiding behind things that people are normally afraid to talk about. It's being transparent.
Yeah.
And I told you, I know that was tough for you, but it's in line with my brand, so I want to go with it.
Well, yeah, again, it's one of those things where the toughest conversations are usually the ones that have to be had. And if anything, it's going to get my opinions and my thoughts and my feelings on the topic out there, which I wouldn't have been able to do before either.
And we're respectful with it. It's something that goes through a lot of people's minds. So just be real, because people, what you're going through, all that shit that you're going through, that's what people are going through in real life. So it's relieving to see somebody, okay, you can go through all this shit, but you can still be successful. That means I can do it.
True. That adds a little bit of hope to the equation too, right? But yeah, I think in business, there's so many challenges and there's so many perceptions and there's so many things that we try to be that we're not. And you're right, like being real is pretty much the only way to make sure that, one, people aren't going to eat you alive at the end of the day because you put up a phony, you put up a front, and it's going to give people relatability to you as well. So not only are you're not alienating yourself by being real, you're actually going to open up to the people who accept you for who you are. Because like we said before, people are going to judge you no matter what.
Right. So you might as well be you.
Might as well be. Get judged for that.
So for those who like list or like, what's the word I'm looking for? Something tangible to take away. Whenever you go out, okay, first of all, let me make this point. My personal and my business life, it's a blurry line. So I can't separate. I don't have a definite separation or whatever. So whenever I do anything, especially when it's in public and I'm representing my business per se, I think, is this aligned with my brand message? Is this authentic to who I am as a person and my values? AKA, does it feel right? And then it's about, how do you hold yourself accountable? How do you take action on that? If you're to take action. Because sometimes if it's like, nah, it doesn't feel right. No, it's not in alignment. No, that just goes against my brand and my values, which are the same. No, I'm not going to do it. Or yes, that's a perfect opportunity. And that's kind of like the measuring stick I go by for everything. Is it in alignment? Is it authentic? And how can I take action and be accountable?
Love it. So we're going to leave you with those questions and leave you thinking about those things. And if you have any comments, concerns, questions, or just want to tell Airial your process, feel free to check out the show notes below, link up with her on social media in the profile that she gave you at the beginning of the show. And I'll make sure those are linked up in the show notes because that's my job. That's what we do. And we'll make it easy for you to connect with either of us if you want to. If you want to talk about the color of business, if you want to talk about identity, if you've got some things you want to get over, Airial does that. So with that, we are going to let you go for another week. Have an amazing week. Do great things and figure out who you are. Get clear.
Ciao.
Thank Thank you for tuning in to the TrepTECH podcast. But if you like what you heard, go on to Apple Podcast and bring her a 5-star review. And also, if you want to check out her service while she transforms mindsets, navigating entrepreneurship, leveraging technology, building relationships while bridging the gap in your business, check out TrepTECHacademy.com. That's TrepTECHacademy.com.